Dive into the tale of the genius scammer who sold air for $242 million. Watch a simple scheme morph into an epic deception, making it one of the most fascinating scams of all time. The setup. Meet Emmanuel Nwude, a name that probably sends shivers down every banker's spine. This guy pulled off a stunt so bold, it's almost admirable. Almost. He managed to swindle a Brazilian bank out of a mind-blowing $242 million. Yes, million. How, you ask? By selling dreams of an airport that was practically made of thin air, complete with imaginary unicorns prancing on the runway. The aftermath? Let's just say it wasn't pretty for the bank Banco Noroeste, which crumbled like a cookie in 2001. In the notorious world of scams, this one was nothing short of a masterpiece, securing the spot as the third largest bank fraud ever recorded in history. You might guess this dude was straight out of the mob or something, right? Nope. Nwude, also rocking the title of Owel of Abagana, was actually the director of the Union Bank of Nigeria, the UBN. His head was filled with all the juicy insider secrets of high finance. Something I wish I had when deciding between pepperoni or Hawaiian pizza. You'd think a guy with such a job would be content, right? Wrong. Nwude saw a bigger picture, one painted with dollars, lots and lots of them. And what better canvas than the ever-optimistic, investor-filled landscape of 1990s Nigeria? Now, before we delve deeper into Nwude's audacious plot, let's take a step back and trace how this jaw-dropping story began. Initial contact. Meet Nelson Sakaguchi, the hopeful director of Sao Paulo's Banco Noroeste. His eyes sparkle with visions of fat returns. At the time, Nigeria was the glittering jewel for global investors. The plot thickens in 1995 when Sakaguchi's phone rings. Who's on the other end? None other than a man claiming to be Paul Agbai Oguma, the then governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN. Now, to understand the gravity of this, picture the CBN as the big boss of all banks in Nigeria, keeping the country's purse strings tight, ensuring the economy doesn't turn into a wild house party. By masquerading as this high-flying bank-in-chief, Nwude wasn't just dropping names, he was masterminding a game of financial chess. He spun a tale that was more captivating than a blockbuster. A new airport project in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, that had the government's blessing and dollar signs written all over it. And the cherry on top, a juicy $10 million commission just for Sakaguchi if he backed the venture. Now that's what you call sweetening the pot. So a Nigerian bank governor just offered me $10 million for backing this airport project. Well, Nelson, if it smells like an email scam and sounds like an email scam... But wait, it's a phone call, Jerry. This could be the real deal. Sure, Nelson, and I'm the Queen of England. Better wear your crown for the next board meeting. Think big, my friend. We could buy islands and, be island neighbors. Or cellmates, if this goes south. As we explore deeper into Nwude's cunning plan, let's look at how he crafted a facade so convincing it could rival Hollywood's finest production. Crafting the illusion. Nwude could have been a blockbuster director with the stunts he pulled. Picture it. Elaborate sets, a cast of characters, and forged documents that could fool even the savviest investor. Nwude didn't just run a scam, he practically rolled out the red carpet for it. We need this meeting room to scream official government business. Think plush chairs, polished tables, and maybe even a fake seal. How about a gavel too? Nothing says official like hammering down a good verdict. Great idea. And maybe a fog machine too, or dramatic effect when they walk in. Aren't we trying to sell them an airport, not a haunted house? In his master plan, Nwude arranged what can only be described as blockbuster meetings. Think of them as high-stakes performances, where every attendee played their part to perfection. These weren't just any meetings, they were meticulously staged productions held in rooms that screamed authority, right down to the polished tables and plush chairs. The goal? To dazzle and convince Mr. Sakaguchi that he was in the middle of a deal of a lifetime. But what's a good show without props? Nwude's props were top tier, forged documents that look so real they can make you swear they just come off the printer at the Nigerian government's office. These papers were a fraudster's dream. Approvals, endorsements, intricate plans for an airport that was supposed to catapult Abuja into the international travel spotlight. Each document detailed where every dime of Sakaguchi's investment would go, from the land where this mythical airport would supposedly sit, right down to the nuts and bolts of construction costs. And let's not forget the pièce de résistance, those financial forecasts. These weren't just numbers scribbled on a napkin, they were a fabricated financial nirvana promising returns that would make anyone's mouth water. Kinda how I feel when payday comes around, only to be met with reality. It all seems so real, so possible, so incredibly profitable. Now let's see how Nwude deepened the deception, turning his scam into an intricate symphony of lies. Deepening the deception. In the grand theater of Nwude's scam, the phone calls were like a soundtrack, carefully composed to enhance the atmosphere and deepen the plot. Imagine Mr. Sakaguchi at his desk, phone in hand, listening intently as voices on the other end, dripping with authority and fake officials, weave a narrative so compelling it might as well have had a movie score playing in the background. Hey, I was discussing with my team about the logistical concerns. Mr. Sakaguchi, let me put your mind at ease. Just last week I had tea with Dr. Ajayi. You know him, right? Great fellow. He's overseeing the cargo protocols. Huh? Who? Oh yes, Dr. Ajayi, of course. Right. I know him. Of course, yes. He mentioned that everything is on schedule. We are talking precision like Swiss watches. Wow, every call makes this sound more promising. You guys are really on top of things. We strive for excellence, sir. Did I mention the president himself asked about our esteemed Japanese partner? He did? Well, tell him I said hello. You do have his number, right? Oh, absolutely, Mr. Sakaguchi. We might even get him on the next call. These weren't just any voices, they were actors playing their parts with the precision of seasoned actors, tasked with sounding like they walked straight out of a Nigerian government office, decked out in suits and ties. They discussed the nitty-gritty of airport logistics, timelines that seemed chiseled in stone, and the labyrinth of bureaucratic tape one must navigate to bring such a mammoth project to life. The level of detail was staggering, so much so that it seemed to leave no room for doubt. Each call was a masterclass in manipulation, designed to soothe any inklings of suspicion that Mr. Sakaguchi might harbor. These voice artists talked up the government's backing with such conviction, you'd think they were fielding calls right outside the Nigerian president's office. They dropped names of mutual contacts that didn't exist, chatted about recent events and policy shifts, real ones mind you, to give that aroma of authenticity that's hard to resist. With trust from Banco Noroeste deepening, watch how Nwude cranks his scam machinery into overdrive, exploiting every ounce of gullibility. Exploiting trust. As trust from Banco Noroeste deepened, Nwude shifted his scam into high gear. Think of him as the conductor of a chaotic symphony, with every move more audacious than the last. Nwude and his crew started funneling massive stacks of cash into accounts that were supposedly set up for contractors and government agencies. Except, plot twist, all these accounts were under his control. The plot thickens as Nwude masterminds a dizzying dance of dollars, whisking the bank's millions through a maze of financial transfers. This wasn't just moving money around, this was financial gymnastics designed to make the cash's tracks as hard to follow as a whisper in a hurricane. But here's where our scam maestro and his orchestra really start playing dirty. They dive into the murky world of money laundering. Their goal? To dress up the stolen loot in Sunday's best, making it look as clean and crisp as legit money. How did they do it, you might ask? Oh, by splurging on real estate, flashy cars, and other wallet-bursting goodies. This one, the price tag is as big as my last scam, but boss, shouldn't we lay low? Lay low? We're here to make a statement, not a whisper. Would you like it in red or black, sir? Both, one for each day of the weekend. If anyone got suspicious, well, a little bribe here, a small payoff there ensured those nosy officials turned their heads the other way. Meanwhile, back at the bank, Nwude was putting on a masterclass in deception. He kept the updates flowing like a tap, fake progress reports on the airport, complete with all the bells and whistles to keep the bank's hopes high and their doubts low. And how is the airport project going, Mr. Nwude? Oh, it's flying, literally. We're about to install the golden runway lights. Golden runway lights? That sounds expensive. Well, you know what they say, go gold or go home. It's all part of the investment. Isn't that a bit flashy? Flashy? No, it's purely practical. Nothing guides a plane in like the glint of gold. Each communication was a soothing balm for the bank's nagging worries, laced with just enough detail to seem plausible. As we peel back more layers, let's watch how the threads of Nwude's grand scheme began to unravel under the scrutiny of keen-eyed auditors. Unraveling the Threads. The unraveling of Nwude's grand scam began not with a bang, but with a quiet rustle of paperwork in the hands of keen-eyed auditors from Santander Bank. Picture this. Banco Noroeste, a bank teeming with ambitions, catches the eye of the banking giant Santander. A match made in financial heaven, right? Only if heaven had a back door leading straight to scandal. As part of the courtship, Santander, like any wise suitor, decided to take a deep dive into Noroeste's financials. What's a little scrutiny when you're planning a future together? But this wasn't just any scrutiny. It was the kind that digs up more than just numbers. It digs up secrets. During this financial health check, something caught the auditor's eyes. Massive sums pouring into an ongoing airport project in Nigeria. But where you'd expect to see progress reports and photos of bustling construction sites, there was nothing but air. The sheer scale of the transactions versus the ghostly lack of evidence was like finding a treasure map leading to nowhere. Okay, so this Nigerian airport project, anyone seen anything that actually looks like an airport? I found an email with an airplane emoji. Does that count? Well, I've seen more concrete evidence in my 7-year-old stories about his imaginary friend. Alright, keep digging. Maybe we'll find an actual plane, or just more creative fiction. Pushed by the impending acquisition, Santander's auditors turned up the heat, demanding proof of life for this phantom airport. Banco Noroeste, caught off guard, scrambled but failed to stitch together a believable narrative. The pressure mounted, and Santander did what any doubtful partner might. They called in more experts. External auditors swarmed in, combing through documents, tracing transactions, and interviewing everyone, even remotely connected to the airport financing. Their conclusion? The project was as real as a mirage. The documents were a masterclass in forgery. The Nigerian government, who contacted, had a simple response. What airport? Awkward. Like when you wave at someone who is actually waving at the person behind you. As these revelations piled up, Banco Noroeste's dreams crumbled. The scam, so elaborate and convincing, began to show its seams under the relentless scrutiny of international banking protocols. The final blow was dealt when the auditors presented their damning compilation of evidence. The facade didn't just crack, it shattered, leaving the executives of Banco Noroeste facing the harsh light of reality. They had been duped in one of the most audacious banking frauds ever concocted. Kinda like how my diet shatters when I pass by a donut shop. Now let's delve into the fallout of this grand deception and how it shook the foundations of more than just one bank. The fallout. The scam that swindled $242 million from Banco Noroeste not only toppled the bank itself, but sent ripples of disbelief and dismay across the globe. As Santander Bank poised to seal their merger, they were greeted not with toast, but with tremors of a financial earthquake. The revelation of such a colossal fraud at such a critical time cast a long, ominous shadow over what should have been a routine celebration of corporate union. Financially gutted, Banco Noroeste teetered on the brink of ruin. This wasn't just a substantial loss, it was a gaping hole in the bank's capital, so deep that it threatened to swallow the institution whole. The very survival of Banco Noroeste hung in balance. Much like my checking account after a weekend of overly enthusiastic online shopping. The distressed assimilation by Santander was a move driven by necessity rather than strategic acquisition. The shockwaves? Oh, they were monumental. Shareholders, once buoyed by promising returns, watched in horror as their investments plummeted, dragging down life savings and retirement dreams with them. Employees caught in the storm could do little but brace for the impact of potential job cuts, while Santander scrambled to salvage what was left of a faltering giant. Heard about the merger? Yeah, Santander's our knight in shining armor, huh? Well, more like a cleanup crew after a party we weren't even invited to. I guess it's time to update the resume? Update? I'm thinking rewrite, starting with experienced in post-apocalyptic finance management. In Brazil, the scam spurred a regulatory crackdown like no other. Stung by the magnitude of the deception, Brazilian authorities tightened their grip on international financial dealings, especially with high-risk nations, vowing to shield their financial borders against future frauds. the legal machinery whirred into action, aiming to bring the perpetrators to justice, a clear message that such deceit would not be tolerated. In Nigeria, the scandal brewed a storm of national embarrassment and self-analysis. The government, red-faced and fuming, was hell-bent on dragging the culprits into the light. The scandal was a wake-up call, spotlighting the cracks in their financial system and sparking urgent calls for a regulatory facelift. Okay, so it's agreed. We tighten up, no more Mr. Nice Guy, especially not to risky ventures. Right, from now on, it's Mr. I need to see some ID, your grandmother's maiden name, and the first song you ever downloaded. Public outrage in both Brazil and Nigeria was swift and fierce. Brazilians were calling for heads to roll, demanding more robust safeguards. Nigerians, they were deep in debate, dissecting every angle of corruption and pleading for a financial fortress to ward off future schemes. As we reach the final act, let's explore the aftermath and the legal drama that followed this monumental scam. Aftermath and trial. Talk about drama. After orchestrating a scam of blockbuster proportions, Nwude found himself snagged in the kind of legal entanglement that would make even seasoned lawyers reach for the popcorn. In 2002, riding on the high tide of public outcry, Nigeria formed the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, a sort of financial SWAT team on the recommendation of the president. It was showtime for financial crooks, and Nwude was about to take center stage. By February 2004, the news began to tighten around Nwude and 4 others. They were arrested and charged in Abuja for their involvement in advanced fee fraud and bribery connected to the infamous airport scam. The case quickly became a spectacle, with the accused denying all charges and the court sternly warning against any attempts to bribe its staff. Ladies and gentlemen, I assure you, my client is as innocent as a newborn, and that newborn did not just rob a bank. Technically I didn't rob a bank, I just creatively borrowed funds. Creative borrowing, huh? And I suppose the bank was just creatively missing its money. Exactly, Your Honor. It's all about perspective. The legal drama took a twist when the judge in July 2004 dismissed the case, stating the crime occurred in Lagos, not Abuja. But as soon as they stepped out of the courtroom, they were rearrested and the case was transferred to Lagos, a move that felt more like a scene change in an ongoing drama. Honestly, that's more traveling than I've done all year. 2005 saw Nwude's desperation peak as he attempted to bribe the head of the EFCC and was accused of trying to kidnap a witness. Amidst these allegations, a bomb scare during the trial added to the chaos, underlining the high stakes and intense pressure surrounding the case. Ultimately, Nwude and Akoli pled guilty, perhaps in hopes of leniency. Their gamble resulted in a combined sentence of 29 years, and Nwude saw all of his assets seized, a stark downfall for the once high-flying con artist. Despite being released in 2006, Nwude's troubles were far from over. He fought to reclaim $52 million, arguing these were legally acquired before his criminal activities. His life post-release remained loud and controversial. In 2016, he was implicated in a violent attack over a land dispute in Ukbo, leading to some serious charges including murder and terrorism. Despite these grave accusations, he managed to secure bail by the end of the year. By 2021, Nwude was in the hot seat again, facing forgery charges. His life story, from high-flying scam artist to notorious criminal, serves up a cautionary tale that's as thrilling as it is grim. If Emmanuel Nwude's audacious air-selling scam blew your mind, brace yourself. Up next, we're uncovering one reveal so gripping you can't afford to miss it. I'll see you there.